right. And we'll take a break from the Crucible right now because it's my pleasure to introduce you and to welcome to the show John Wisniewski.
How's it going, Deej?
Good to see you, man.
Good to be here.
So for those members of our audience who aren't used to reading your weapon update previews, or the people who don't pour through the patch notes, give us a sense of what you do at Bungie.
So I'm a designer on the gameplay design team, and I basically, my area is weapons. So I think of new weapons, I think about old weapons, I think about how weapons are behaving in all activities, and do a lot of planning and work to keep those fresh and new.
Yeah. Spend a lot of time in our test labs, getting punished by the PvP testers that we have participating in this Warlock exhibition.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, we certainly we play a lot here at Bungie to keep each other honest and to settle a lot of the debates that you all have on the forums. So when they have conversations about weapons being overpowered, we go into our own labs, we participate in our own gameplay to see how we feel about all that stuff.
Yes, we do.
And today, you're going to tell us how we feel about all that stuff. I've got my magical clicker here.
All right.
So we're just going to run through a lot of the different categories of weapons, and John is going to give you a sense of what has changed and why we've made some of those changes. I'm going to pledge that tomorrow we'll publish a full write-up from you where you tackle every single archetype of weapon as well as some of the different weapons from the exotic and legendary catalog. And we'll give you all of the gritty details followed up by the full patch notes later. But today, here's an opportunity for you to get to know somebody who does this sort of work, understand how we think and how we approach this stuff, and just get a basic sense of what's coming. So we'll start with my personal favorite. We got the auto rifles.
Auto rifles.
What have we done to auto rifles?
So auto rifles, so yeah, like you said, we'll keep this all short and sweet in the interest of moving on to some combat and seeing these things in action.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we'll have the full details published tomorrow. So yeah, auto rifles, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the high rate of fire style of auto rifle, which is like your Doctrine of Passing, your Armadius D, your Necrochasm.
Your bullet hose, if you will.
Bullet hose. The base damage is coming down just a tiny bit.
Okay.
And then to offset that, the low rate of fire, so your Suros Regime, your new Queen's auto rifle, her memory, the base damage is coming up a tiny bit.
Okay.
And these changes are not intended to move people off of these weapons. They're just intended to give you more options within the archetype.
More of a logical counter for each other. Okay, cool. And what are we doing to the pulse rifles?
Pulse rifles. So we're only touching the low rate of fire archetype.
Okay.
So in game right now, that would be like the spare change, and the base damage is coming up a tiny bit.
Okay. So if slow and steady wins the race, you're going to make those bullets just a little bit more powerful.
Correct.
Okay. And then we have the hand cannons.
Hand cannons. So all we're doing with hand cannons right now is we're increasing your ammo inventory.
Okay.
So we've noticed that in some PvP games where you're on a streak or you're using last word and just blowing through your ammo, you tend to run dry. And then in PvE encounters as well, more attrition style encounters like strikes and raids, people tend to be running dry as well. So anyone running a hand cannon now is going to have a significant amount more ammo in their backpack. It'll be less time spent running around the field looking for ammo.
Nice. So a 6-gun is still a 6-gun, but you can reload it more often with what you have on your person.
Correct.
Okay. Deeper pockets.
Yep.
Fusion rifles.
Fusion rifles. So this time, all we did with fusion rifles was we just gave them a blanket stability increase. So that's better stability across the board for fusion rifles. And what that means is that as the projectiles leave the barrel in the burst, you're going to get a less severe kick, which means a tighter grouping of projectiles, which means more accuracy.
Cool. Sniper rifles.
Sniper rifles.
Constant topic of conversation in the community. So how are we addressing a lot of the things that they've said about the long barrel?
A lot of people using sniper rifles these days.
Yeah, using them as almost like medium-range battle rifles.
Yeah, I think we saw some of that in the gameplay earlier. So yeah, that seems to be a play style that's settling in PvP right now, which is that people are using their snipers as sort of like close to medium-range combat tools. The goals for a sniper rifle has always been, precision, long-range, paced combat that rewards thumb skill with high damage to precision targets.
Yeah.
So we're leaning into that, and so to change the changes that we're doing for sniper rifles is, so there's zoom distance on scopes, and there's 3 scopes that are the shortest zoom distance, and we've pushed that distance out a tiny bit. So it's not very much, but it is enough to sort of shake up your usual sight lines a little bit that you're used to in PvP.
So you can see further with those scopes now, just to sort of make
go a little bit further.
Those close range engagements a little bit more clumsy.
Right. It's a give and take. So your close range, your ability to close range snapshot is a little bit harder, but with the range increase, you get a little bit more accuracy as well. And so that's just the long view, SLR10, the ambush, and the short gaze that are getting pushed out a tiny bit. We've also added 2 frames of zoom time to the as you go from hip into zoom. So that's slightly slower. It's like just 2 frames, but it does make a difference when you're doing the combat sniping. And I know everyone out there is thinking, well, that's okay, I've got snapshot. Well, sorry to tell you that snapshot now grants you a 20% increase to your zoom time instead of 30%. It was 30%.
This is the role of the sniper on the battlefield, though. I mean, they call that gun patience and time for a reason.
Right.
You know, in a real-world combat meta, the sniper is not usually dancing around and jumping with a big, heavy gun. They're clumsy to use, they're heavy to carry, and it's all about the precision kill, choosing that right moment and putting your shots where they count.
Right. Yeah. And then the last little change we made there is we reduced stability across the board a little bit on snipers, and so. Again, if you're lining up your shots and you're doing your combat breathing and taking your time, that you should feel unaffected. But if you're doing the rapid, trying to like 2-tap a body in PvP and get those quick kills, you're going to be it's going to be a little bit harder to realign on your target just a tiny bit.
Big gun, it's got a kick.
Yep.
All right. Let's talk about some of the weapons in the exotic catalog now. This is extremely popular, the Mida multi-tool. In fact, let's take a look at how popular it's been over time. So when we launched the Taken King, this gun was not brought forward originally.
Right, its investment attack value was not at the levels of the other weapons.
So it was not a year 2 weapon as soon as year 2 began.
So where on that graph do you think that happened?
Probably where you hit that wall. So you can see where December happens.
Right.
We reprised this exotic weapon for year 2 in December. That's when it vaulted up like a rocket out of obscurity back into relevance, and you can see those weekly upticks where it's being used in activities like Iron Banner.
Yep.
So Mida multi-tool is, compared to every other primary weapon in the combat sandbox in PvP, is by far the most popular gun.
Absolutely.
So what are we doing to mitigate this? What are we doing to make it less popular, or to make other weapons in the primary arsenal a more viable option?
So the only thing we're doing to Mida is we're removing high caliber rounds as as unintrinsic property of the weapon.
Okay.
So other than that, the weapon still plays and feels exactly the same for the user to shoot. It just sucks a little bit less to be shot at with it.
It's not going to disrupt your targets as much as it used to.
So there's a little bit more opportunity to shoot back if you feel that's necessary, or disengage.
Okay.
And speaking of the popularity graph, the reason we didn't hit Mida too hard is because it is popular, and on the gameplay team we actually consider it to be a relatively balanced gun.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to hit it too hard.
I don't use it. It's hard. It's hard.
It's not a warlock, right, Deej?
Yeah, it's not. It's exactly. I wear Void Fangs. My entire Crucible strategy is get killed, respawn, throw a grenade. Get killed, respawn, throw a grenade.
Throw a grenade.
You saw that one coming, huh?
Yep.
Okay. So up next, we'll talk about my own personal favorite, the Suros regime.
Yeah.
Check it out.
The Suros.
Like Darth Vader's Ferrari.
So by proxy, because the Suros is in the family of low rate of fire auto rifles, it's got a buff. So it's going to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so to address that, so a lot of people tend to use the spinning up option. So there's 2 options, spinning up and focus fire.
Yep.
A lot of people use the spinning up option, and with the base damage increase, that was just a little bit too deadly in our play tests. And so what we did is spinning up now kicks in a little bit later in the mag, about 4 shots.
Okay.
So you still have the same gameplay, same behavior from that perk, but it just kicks in a little bit later.
Yeah, that's my finishing move. When that poor soul is trying to run away from me to get around that corner, and then it spins up right at the end and put him down. So that happens 4 bullets later in the clip.
4 bullets later. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's not what I heard your finishing move was, by the way.
Oh yeah, what'd you? Yeah.
So and then the focus fire option now got a range buff as well. So so you get a pretty significant boost to your range stat if you're going to select focus fire. And then if you pick the other range boosting options in the talent grid in conjunction with that, you'll be able to max out the range value of Suros, so that if you if you are the type of player who likes to use the really slow focus fire option, you can use range to your advantage now.
Okay, cool. And moving right along to the Hawk Moon.
Yeah. Simple change with this one, made a big difference. We just increased the range a little bit, so now the effective range has gone out, and the general accuracy of the gun is a little bit better because of it as well.
Okay, cool. And it's Cowboy Cousin, the last word.
The last word.
What happened to the last word?
So I'll just come out and say it. We took the damage down on last word, and that's only in the last word perk. So it's the perk on the grid called the last word.
Yeah.
That perk gives you bonus damage, bonus stability, bonus accuracy, and bonus aim assist when you're firing from the hip.
So yeah, that's pretty mean.
And there's a whole bunch of players out there who've gotten really good at hitting headshots from the hip with this gun, and with that damage boost, that turns into a 2-shot kill in PvP at a full auto hand cannon rate of fire. And the time to kill is just a little too fast. So we pull the damage off. It's still a 3-shot kill. You still get the aim assist. You still get the stability.
Yeah, still sounds pretty mean. We will take a look at how it performs in our all Warlock exhibition here. We'll throw them into some Rumble combat, every Warlock for themselves, and we will prove. Please do not panic. Please do not flee. We'll prove that the last word is still a viable option.
What's next?
What is next? Look at that. Everyone's favorite weapon to get killed by.
It's
the
pointing
Thorn.
right at my head.
Yeah, look at that. It's pointing right at your head. It's like, okay, now you're now being held at Thorn Point. Check that out. So talk to us about the Thorn. What have you done?
So first and foremost, I should say that there's been no investment attack value increase on Thorn. So it should be still considered a year 1 weapon.
Still a year 1 weapon.
Still year 1 weapon.
Okay.
However, no one's really talking about it. No one's really using it.
Yeah.
So we did want to get some more eyes on the gun, some more hands on the gun. So we're talking about like damage increase, increasing the magazine, slightly speed up the rate of fire. The poison lasts a little longer, does more damage.
Cool.
I'm totally joking right now.
He's completely kidding. He's completely kidding. What did you really do to Thorn?
So we minimized the dot damage. So the dot's the damage over time. So each pulse is going to do the absolute minimum damage we can do in PvP.
Okay.
We reduced the duration of the pulse. So instead of doing 6 pulses, it now does 4. And we've actually done another pass on the intensity of the poison screen effect. So when you're shot by it, it's a little bit less intense on your screen.
You're not completely blind? It's not like someone hit you with a green flashbang?
Yep, and again, like same methodology applied to the MIDA changes, where we're trying to preserve the feeling of using the weapon, because that feels good to some people out there, even though most people on the internet hate those people. We want the weapon to still feel awesome to use, and then suck a little bit less to have it used on you.
Gotcha. Okay. Icebreaker.
So once again, I should say that the investment attack value of Icebreaker is not coming forward. So
Icebreaker is still a year 1 weapon.
Yeah. Okay. But to sort of pivot off of what Lars was saying earlier about the intended ammo economy changes, we had to make some changes to Icebreaker as well. Icebreaker was making it pretty difficult for us to tune the ammo economy in PvP. And so what we did is we basically addressed the issue where players could charge up their special ammo with Icebreaker, get killed, die, jump off a cliff, whatever, and then swap to another special weapon and have that ammo persist. So that no longer happens. When you switch away from Icebreaker, you will lose all your ammo and have to find it again on the map.
Okay.
And then playing into the Icebreaker fantasy as well, we wanted to really sell the fact that this is a long-range heavy weapon, so the handling came down, the zoom distance went out.
Yeah.
But the exotic behavior is still there. Okay. So if you are the PvE style player where you're camping on the hill, annihilating the battlefield, you won't feel the burn on this one at all.
Cool. Okay. There's an interesting point to be made there that we had Lars in to talk about Crucible activities and ammo economies. Now you're talking about weapon balance and how ammo economies affect that. You guys work very closely together. It's not like you all live in your own personal vacuums. Where it's like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm adjusting guns. What are you doing? It's like, I'm adjusting the Crucible. It's like, okay, cool. See you on the other side of that. Good luck. I mean, the changes that you guys make.
Hope we don't screw this up.
Exactly. It's like, oh, the changes I made completely ruin everything you were hoping to accomplish.
Yeah. So
you guys are, I mean, I get to walk around the studio floor. I get to walk around where you guys sit. You work very closely together. All of these changes, like the things that go into the April update, it's no mistake that you're on the same show.
Correct.
Because you guys pretty much work hand in hand to make sure that these changes all sort of complement each other.
Yeah.
If Lars changes something, it's going to have a direct impact on the things that you're making.
Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit more about some of the ammo changes that we made on our side too. So, it works the same way across the board. So the same thing with sidearms. Like if you swap away from a sidearm, then you're going to lose your special ammo. You have to re-find the ammo on the map in order to power up whatever weapon that you switch from. And then the total inventory amount for heavy machine guns, sniper rifles, and shotguns got reduced across the board as well.
Okay.
So you won't be able to carry as much in your backpack. So in some PvP games, some players are really good at controlling the spawn rate of ammo crates, and they're able to run around and grab ammo and be pretty stockpiled. So we've limited the amount that they can stockpile, and then to offset that change in PvE, we've increased the drop rate of special ammo bricks.
Okay.
So in PvE, you'll have less in your backpack, but you'll see more bricks drop.
You know, a constant question from the community is why not just let PvP be its own thing and let PvE sort of exist independently? Why do you try to balance weapons so that they behave exactly similarly in both areas of activities?
Yeah, speaking to that, so there's really just sort of like a high-level global philosophy we have about Destiny design, and to me personally, I think it's one of the greatest things about our game, which is that your Guardian is your Guardian everywhere you go. So every activity you go into, you're bringing the same tool set, and it behaves the same in those areas,
and I know what to expect.
Yeah,
when I achieve body memory with that weapon,
right.
I'm never going to be surprised. Like, that never happens in the Crucible. It's like I was up against a raid boss, the chips were down.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And it's not always one-to-one, but we try to keep it as consistent as possible. And we went for example, like if you throw your grenade and you know about the detonation radius of the grenade, like you want that to be consistent regardless of what target you're throwing it at.
Okay.
And yeah, you just really want to build a lot of muscle memory and fluidity with your loadout, regardless of where you are.
Zen, if you will.
Zen.
Okay, cool. And then let's see. Let's round this out and let's get into the Crucible to visit with our warlocks and see how they're doing. Dreg's Promise.
Dreg's Promise. So quick change to this one. Projectiles now track based on ADS lock.
Okay.
So as you aim down the sights and then shoot, the Dreg's Promise projectiles are going to just do a little bit better job at tracking.
Okay. And we have Telesto.
Telesto. So Telesto, we fixed an issue where the projectiles weren't recognizing player factions, so friendly factions.
Yeah.
So if you shot your Telesto at your ally or your ally's Ward of Dawn, the projectiles would just vanish.
Okay.
And so now the projectiles know what to do, and what they do is they correctly attach to those targets. So they can attach to your friend, they can attach to your friend's Ward of Dawn, and they will explode, but they will not do damage to your friends. So if you have, like I do,
yeah,
if you're playing with a guy like Grant,
yeah,
who likes to charge into the fray of battle,
yeah,
with somewhat wild abandon, and you're the kind of guy like me who likes to hang back a little bit,
yeah,
pull out your Telesto, spray the back of his Guardian down.
Dress me up, dress
with
me
your
up.
Projectiles.
Turn him into a trip mine, essentially.
Exactly, and
a running, charging.
He'll go running in, and he will literally explode himself all over the enemies.
Can't wait to see that. And let's see. We'll need to take a look at this. Let's take a look full screen at the 1,000-yard stare.
Yep.
Easily acquired through participation in the story campaign, courtesy of the Vanguards. Let's take a look at this. This is the most equipped special weapon in the history of our living social world.
Yeah.
It's definitely a popular Destiny sniper rifle.
Yeah.
So what are we doing about this? It's everywhere.
So yeah, I mean, that graph kind of speaks for itself as the thing that most people are using right now. And I think there's a lot of reasons that people have gravitated towards this weapon. And I think one of those reasons is that a lot of people have farmed this weapon. They've been trying to get a really good perk roll, and they've found that, and they like it, and it's what they want to run. And we don't want to take that away from them. We absolutely want to honor that. But at the same time, it's my job to make people feel like they have options, right?
Yes.
We don't want loadouts to stagnate and sit on any one weapon for too long.
Okay.
So all we're gonna do is we're just gonna remove a couple bullets out of the inventory. So again, piggybacking on top of the sniper rifle change, your 1,000-yard stare is gonna have a little bit less ammo inventory, but other than that, that perfect perk roll that you've gone out there to find and use is is going to be consistent.
It does have a stronger scope too, though. So I'm looking more across the room instead of just across the way at the dude that just ran around the corner.
Correct.
So
yeah.
it's
so
a longer range weapon.
It is. It does subscribe to all the sniper rifle changes.
It's not a battle rifle.
Yep.
But I'm sure you'll find a way to use it because you're awesome. And here we go. King's Fall weapons, including this heavy.
Yes, the Quillam's Terminus, Harold Quillam's Terminus and Quillam's Terminus.
Yes.
2 guns that are basically the same.
Okay.
So
tongue twister with a trigger.
So we basically reduce the inventory on this gun.
Okay.
So you're going to get less bullets. I'm sure there's plenty of PvP players out there who get killed 4 or 5 times by the so guy with the same ammo brick.
That thing again?
He's got that
I've
thing
seen
up,
a lot
and
of
he's just
feedback
on an
about
insane streak.
Yep.
So now your options are wait it out because he doesn't have as much ammo anymore, or get good and kill him.
Sure. Yeah. Get good and kill him. Yeah. Words to live by.
And then as far as the rest of the King's Fall weapons, we did a global increase on reload speed, so they're all going to reload a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And Anguish of Dristan, the assault rifle, got a small stability boost as well.
Okay.
But yeah, let's go to some gameplay now.
Yes, we take you live to our Crucible exhibition. They're playing Rumble, so it is every warlock for itself, and we're taking a look at Suros regime. So what would you point out here?
So I'm not sure which style they're running on this one right now. If you want to shoot for a little bit so we can see that. Oh yeah, so that's the focus fire style, and as you can see,
bam,
range now to your advantage.
Yep.
So you probably want to hang back and take a little bit more slower paced combat. Do a little bit more range with this guy.
Heavy ammo's up. How often does heavy ammo spawn now in Rumble? It spawns, what, after 5 minutes?
After 5 minutes.
Once during the game?
Yeah, I believe is what Lars says.
Okay.
So
or whatever Lars says.
Yeah, whatever Lars said. So here we go.
Here's
now we've got Thorn. So as you can see, they're doing less damage, and that the pulse disengages a lot sooner than it used to.
Yeah. Those were some missed shots. That Warlock was fighting a good fight and jumping all over the place. So let's take a look at a cleaner engagement with the Thorn.
Yeah. So he got 2 stacks on there, so it still stacks. But yeah, as you can see, the poison wears off a lot sooner than it used to. So it does a really cool thing where it's still it feels the same to use that gun. You're still getting the same benefit.
Yep. Good kill.
But those poison ticks rarely actually kill the guy now. The victim doesn't feel like they're on timeout for so long. They don't feel like they have to sit around.
Yeah, we're still in a good run here.
It eliminates the I believe it was like a 2 or 3 body shot kill that you could get with those things. So that doesn't happen anymore. But you still get the great benefit of putting the poison damage over time on the guy.
Okay.
And then seeing the damage numbers tick through walls. But also because it disengages now a little bit faster, is that you sort of get a hint of where they might be going to disengage.
Okay.
But it doesn't give you exact positioning anymore. As long as that person keeps disengaging, they have a much stronger chance of getting away and being able to fight back.
So there's the Thorn. There you have it. We saw some interesting things there. I saw the Thorn shut down a storm trance. There was some good kill streaks there.
Yeah. And so this player should also have Thiessen in their special slot. So this is we can look at the fusion rifle changes here.
Okay. Fusion.
So yeah, just across the board, your shot grouping is going to be much more tighter on these guns now. They'll be a lot more accurate, a little bit easier to predict where your burst is going to land.
Okay, cool. What else can we take a look at here? What else? Oh, here we go. Here's the last
Here
word.
We go, last word.
Please still be awesome. Please still be awesome.
Yeah, easy to hit the guy when he stands still.
Yeah, indeed. Not so easy when he's jumping around and punching you, finishing you off with a fusion rifle. All right, let's see a last word kill. Just for all those people out there with the soul of a cowboy. Let's restore their
pressure
hope and their
or
faith.
anything.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Back up on the horse, cowboy. Back up on that horse, cowboy. Here you go. Oh, and what a time to reload.
Yeah.
There we go. And whoever that was a great sport. But yeah, it's still a nasty weapon. Still doing some work. There you go.
So
it still moves the needle.
Experiences are purely anecdotal. You know, these encounters could play in all kinds of different ways. But yeah, we've done a lot of play testing, and this is still extremely combat viable tool.
Okay, cool.
And then in his special slot, we've got the 1,000-yard stare.
There it is.
He is running the short gaze scope, so this is one of the scopes that has had their zoom pushed out a little bit, and there's an extra two frames of zoom time as he's zooming in.
I am not a sniper at all, but it still feels really clumsy to me in that small hallway. Here, it's a better suited weapon.
Yeah, and then earlier, when he wasn't on the spot, we actually saw some close-range combat sniping on Exodus Blue with this thing that I think will prove that it's still possible. It's just a little bit less responsive.
Okay.
And if you want to get the same gameplay that you have now,
Yeah.
you just got to back up a little bit.
Okay. Let's take a look at the spare change.
So this is the lowest rate of fire pulse rifle.
Okay.
So damage on these ones came up a little bit. You are going to increase, so it's going to be a little bit more consistent to get I should say two burst headshots. So if you land all your headshots in 2 bursts, you could sometimes kill a Guardian depending on his armor stat.
Jesus. Okay. Yeah.
And now that's a little bit more common. So again, we're encouraging people to aim for the head. And then, yeah, your cleanup kills and team shooting is going to be a little bit more effective this time now too.
And it took a grenade to stop Bonnie's kill streak there. All right, and then let's take a look at.
So this is her memory.
Yeah.
So this is the new Queen's assault rifle, which is going to be launching on April 12th. And this is a low rate of fire weapon. I believe this perk roll might actually have focus fire on it as well. So this is going to be super slow.
Yeah, really slow.
This is
Look at
basically
that.
like your baby Suros, but it is pretty nasty. These things are pretty effective now. So I'm hoping this makes some of the auto rifle players feel like that they have options aside from Doctrine of Passing.
You should have just called it Baby Suros because that sounds adorable.
Baby Suros.
Can you imagine? Just like, I got a Baby Suros.
Drinks Guardian tears, not milk.
Exactly.
So yeah, these are going to be like hopefully more people will adopt these guns. I would love to see that.
All right, and then our last sampling of weapons here in this loadout.
So yeah, this is the Doctrine of Passing with slightly less damage. I really want to emphasize that it was slightly less, so that if you get a bead on a target and you're pretty much locked in on them,
yeah,
you're still able to melt them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's when you get out of the effective range or when you're trying to engage multiple targets, or like you saw there, if you're having a hard time like actually getting your reticle on the target,
yep,
it's going to be a little bit less lethal.
Yep.
And it's just meant to sort of like smooth out some of the edge cases and make this gun a little bit less dominant, but still an effective combat
This
tool.
has definitely become one of those polarizing weapons. I see Doctrine of Passing enter the conversation often.
Yep.
And it's either, I love using it and I have it equipped, or I hate getting killed with that gun. And, we're on a good kill streak here. It's working better up close, although, the Stormcaller is a nasty, nasty beast.
Sure is.
And we'll find out exactly what is about to befall that Stormcaller in just a moment when we bring Grant out to sit on the couch.
And then last but not least is our new Drake's Promise. So yeah, the way this works is very similar to the tracking perk on rocket launchers.
Yep.
So as you aim down the sights, you will acquire a target, and then the projectiles will lock to it.
So you want to aim it.
Yep.
Definitely want to aim it.
Unlike the rocket launcher tracking perk, there is no audio. So if you're familiar with like Truth and you can aim down the sights and you sort of get that beeping audio,
Sure.
it lets you know that you have a target locked. There's nothing like that for this gun. You just have to trust. But it is Greg's Promise. Greg Pang, our weapons designer,
Okay.
he worked on this. It has become Greg's Promise. He did a great job. There has been a little bit of work on the projectiles because once we did the new locking stuff, it was extremely, extremely good. And now it's a little bit more balanced out now.
Sounds scary. I mean, when you do that, when you say, okay, now this gun has tracking rounds and they work a lot better, or you're always kind of like, all right, I'm going to give this to the community, and it's like, let's see what happens. This thing could become the first and last word in Crucible combat. But we'll keep paying attention. We'll keep studying them. We'll look at the UR data. We'll look at the usage graphs and see if it takes off like a rocket the same way Mida did when we brought it forward.
Yeah.
But if you're playing in the Crucible, we are watching you and we are studying you, and we're reading the things that you're talking about in the forum, and these are the conversations that we have internal. So while we may not respond to every single tweet talking about weapons, Noosk and the people who create and design these things are always studying you and hoping to better serve you as a player. So the April update's doing some great stuff in that area. We'll see how people respond to all of it. There's always another game update after this one.
Oh yeah. My work is never done.
Yeah, fashion is never finished.
Yep.
John, thank you so much for being on the show.
Honor.
And we're going to take a look at the Warlock exhibition here for just a moment, and stick around. Our next subject matter expert will be Grant Mackay to talk about these warlocks and the way they're fighting each other. Dude, this room temperature water is amazing.
Didn't bring mine.
You got to get yourself some of that.
Right.
So